We are discussing again on a child of God. Who is a child of God? Let's read the book of John. John chapter 1. Verse 13. Okay, let's begin from verse 12. John 1 verse 12. But as many as received him, to them gave he power to become the sons of God, even to them that believe on his name, which were born not of blood, nor of the will of the flesh, nor of the will of man, but of God. To them that believe, he give them power to become the sons of God. He gives power to them who believed, who received him, to become sons of God. Now, in other way around, if you do not believe, you will not become a son of God. If you do not believe and accept him, he will not give you the power to become, which means no one on earth born that is of God. After the fall of the man, after the fall of Adam and Eve, after the sin of disobedience, no one on earth belongs to God. Bible says all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. Everyone have sinned. The coming of Christ was to bring man back to God. The coming of Jesus on planet Earth was to restore man back as a son unto God, as a representative of God on earth, as a mouthpiece of God on earth, as the mobility of God on earth, as the body of God on earth. Nobody is a child of God. It is the Spirit of God, the Spirit of Christ given to you, born in you, the day you accepted Jesus Christ. He is the one that is a child of God. Christ said, the seed of God or the child of God sin not. He does not commit sin. There's nothing sinful, there's nothing worldly, there's nothing flesh is sin attached in the child of God, in the seed of God, in the fruit of God. But we were all born sinners. We were all conceived through sin. We are all sinners until we become born again. So unborn again, we receive that Spirit of Christ in us that will make us child of God. That will make us children of God. That will make you a child of God. Without the Spirit of Christ in you, you are not a child of God. And any man who is not born again, who who does not have in him that Spirit of Christ, he is not child of God, because there's nothing in him that identifies him as a child of God. And every child of a man resembles his father through actions, through manifestations, through his life. If you are a child of a man and you don't resemble him, not only in your face, but in your characters, your language, your speakings, what you do, and whatever people are watching you. So whatever you do must match to the man that gave back to you. If you receive the Spirit of Christ in you as a child of God, then it means you must begin to manifest those lives of Christ in you, those qualities of God in you must be seen as to represent God. You cannot be a child of God while the life you and the actions you manifest is not of God, which means there's nothing like child of God in you. So the child of God is the Spirit of Christ in you. The child of God in you is the seed of God sown in you, unborn again. He came to make you a child of God. Bible said, to them that believe, to them that endure unto the end, to them that endure unto the end. There are 3 steps of salvation. First salvation is when you hear the word of God, you accept Jesus, you believed, you received him, you are saved from the world. You are saved from the world power. Now, when you are now born again, Bible says, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. You have been saved one from the world. You are no more worldly. You have received the Spirit of Christ that will help you. And I say, work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. So if you are saved and you refuse to work out your salvation, you will still going to die and perish. Now when you are working your salvation out, he said, to them that endure unto the end, on working out your salvation with fear and trembling, if you endure unto the end, then you shall be saved. That is a final salvation. Said, to them that endure, and will I give the right to eat from the tree of. So it is the last salvation on you to endure unto the end. So on working out your salvation, you are going to face a lot of challenges. You are going to face so many confrontations, so much of life not being good for you. Bible says, if you endure unto the end, then you will eat from the tree of life. So when you are saved as a child of God, you are still going to pass through other salvation steps to be solidified and to be saved finally. That's why we say a man born again can still die and go to hellfire. That is it. So a child of God, it is in him that continued to endure. After being saved, he continued to follow the process. He continued to endure unto the end, as to eat, as to grab that tree of life that is in the garden, that is in the kingdom. So the tree of life is Jesus, you will eat. That tree of life we are all looking for, it is Jesus. Until you eat Jesus, say, unless you eat my body and drink my blood, you have no life. It's a revelation. So until you get to the height to endure to the end, you will never eat Jesus. Although it's not by eating the flesh. No, it's a height. It is a revelational statement he made. So your endurance unto the end give you access into the home. Say, I am going to prepare a place. It is only those that endure unto the end that will get to the home of the righteous. Only them that push and face all the confrontations were able to remain in the land without dating their garments. It is them that will receive that gift, that life eternal. That's why it is only a child of God that will begin to walk on the principles of God, that will begin to walk on the system of God, that will begin to walk in the pattern of God. He is so obedient to the call. He is so obedient to every word of God that he is hearing. He is so faithful. He is so committed in the activities of God. He is so involved. Despite anything, he is committed. That is a child of God. He does not give excuse. He does not give excuse at all. Despite whatsoever, both rain is falling, the sun is shining, he does not give excuse. Both when he is sick and tired, he is still on the way moving. But the man that claims the child of God is always full of excuse. There's no life in him that represents God. What in him shows God. It's a truth. So a child of God is the Spirit of God in a man. He is in you to make you a child of God. If only you can follow the principles of the gospel of Jesus Christ. If only you can follow the pattern of the gospel. If only you can keep to the system of righteousness and be holy. It's not just a talking time, it's a time of manifestation, application of the word of God ahead. The child of God. He then claim it. It is not everybody that is born on earth belongs to God. It's the truth. Yes. Forget that thing. If you are not born again, you are not a child of God. If you are not born again, you are not a child of God. Hear it well. We don't care where you are coming from. You can't claim it. And once you are a child of God, the life you live will reveal that. You can't claim it. The involvement, the things you do will reveal them. That's it. So when you are a child of God, there are evidence. So a child of God sin not. If you are a sinner, if you are a born again and you are always committing sin, you are not a child of God. Bible says a sinner is a servant of sin, which means you are a servant of the devil as you keep on committing sin. It's a truth. And a servant does not abide in the house, but the son is what? He abides in the house. That's it. So it is our actions that reveals where we are and what we are. It's not by claiming. If you are not a mechanic, or if you are not a seamstress, you cannot sew. You can't fix car as a mechanic. Yes, you can claim it. When they give you